Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started on step 4. Quick overview of where we're headed, what we're going to do in step 4. Right now, if we look at our site, we pushed up our file to our server, our index file, and it's sitting up there and we can access it, and we have our menu. One of the things we are going to do in step 4 is make a correction to our file. We are missing 3 links underneath the who.I area. As well, we're going to actually add links, add the pages that these links go to. So that, right now, if you click on one, you go absolutely nowhere. To take a look, additionally, we're going to view source. Right click on our page and view source, and we still have an embedded style in our page. Well, when we copy the page, if we want to change the color, we'd have to go to every page to change the color. So what we're going to do is we're going to move our styles to an external style sheet and link it to the page before we copy it, which will then apply the changes to all pages. Go ahead and look at the class lessons to see more on that. Where we're headed to. Where we're headed to is here's our page, here's our links. They're working, they're actually going to pages. We can see the title changing, the page title changing on where they are. We can also see our missing pages are here as well. And if we view source, we can see that we've moved the style out and we've linked it to an external style sheet. So with that, one other thing we are going to do is we're going to actually start putting our site into step folders as well. So that we can actually align our efforts to specific steps, specific videos, and it should help out with troubleshooting and also getting extra help. So the first thing that we're going to do is inside our local on our computer, not on our host, on our computer, we're going to create a step folder, and we're going to call it go new folder, and we're going to call it step-003. And we're just making that for our last step, because what we're going to do is take our index file and we're going to go ahead and we're going to move it into there. And the biggest reason we're going to do that is because now as we progress and we go to each step, now some of the numbers will skip because we have WordPress steps as well, and they will not coincide with the HTML steps. But the way we're going to do it when we're doing the next HTML step is we'll actually take a copy of that step folder and we'll just go ahead and paste it right in there, and we'll rename it. And that way we're starting exactly where we left off with the last step, and we are able to start working on our files. So make sure that you below wherever your index is, that you create a step 3 folder. You put that index file in there, and then copy it and paste it and rename the pasted folder to step 4. Now we can actually work out of step 4. So we'll switch over to brackets. We'll go ahead and start up our brackets. And the first thing, of course, that we want to do is go File, Open Folder. And I went ahead and put that on my desktop. So I'm going to browse out to my desktop, and I have my inside out HTML folder there. I have my step 4 folder there, and I'm going to select it, which gives me my index.html file. Now that I have my HTML file open, before we do anything else, what I do want to do is go and put in those missing links. Where we want to put the links that we missed in the previous step in our menu is under the who.I. And if you can recall a little bit of review, the way that we would do that is we actually go inside the list item of I, because we want to put a submenu below it, and we come up and we start building our submenu. And in that menu, what we want to put in there is the list item, and actually we can cheat a little and we can just grab a list item. Make sure that you grab one that has a full tag, right? And so we'll go ahead and we'll paste that in there, and we'll paste another one and another one. And what we're looking for is who I was then. Remember, in the link we always use an underscore, and then here we don't need an underscore, for this is the value that actually shows in the page, right? Who I am now, and let's go ahead and put that in here, am now, and who I will be. So at this point, now we've created a submenu below the submenu. So we actually have a submenu inside of a submenu, a sublist inside of a sublist, however you want to say it. We'll go over here and we'll hit our beautify button just to clean it up, and then we can take a better look at it. So we moved the closing list item down to here so we could put another list inside of it, and inside that list are our additional. So we'll hit Control S for save, and what we want to do is go ahead and have a look at that. And the way I'm going to go at it is I'm just going to click on the file and open with Google Chrome. And as usual, since we're working, I'm going to take that window now that I opened and get my workspace set up for me to continue moving forward. So we see I have all my links now, and they go nowhere when I click on them, which will be taken care of in a few minutes. The next thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and get our styles out of this one page, because we're going to make many copies of this page, of the index.html page. We're going to make a copy for each one of the links that we've created below. And the way we're going to move that out is we're going to create a new folder inside of here, and we're going to call it assets. Pretty common. It's not how it has to be, but it's very common for an assets folder, because then inside that assets folder we can create CSS folder, we could create JS for JavaScript, all different things that we want to use, and we can kind of keep it categorized underneath assets, because in the end they are assets. So I'm going to right click on the CSS folder that I created, and I'm going to say new file, and I'm going to call it style.css. And you'll see that it opened up for me, and up here these are my working files. And the first thing I'm going to do is go back into my index.html, and I'm going to take this style, all these declarations, all these rules, style rules, CSS rules, and I'm going to cut them and paste them into my style sheet. As usual, I'm going to make my style sheet, hit my beautify button. It was all good, so it just stayed the same. I have my style element there, so I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to go out and take a look at what I've done and see how it impacted my page. And what you can see is we've lost all style for our page. That's fine, because what we're going to do now is go ahead and get that style back by coming in, and when we want to put in a style inline external style, what we do is we use what's called a link element. And what that link allows us to do is tell the browser exactly what it is we're going to put in here. So we're gonna call in a style sheet so the browser knows how to deal with it, and then the type of text that's being used. The type of text that's being used in our style sheet is text CSS. With HTML5, we don't necessarily have to put in all these items, but what we do want to put in here for sure and is necessary is our hyper reference or link to the style sheet. And if you notice, the minute I put that in, brackets recognize that there's a folder there. And so if I click on that folder, it recognizes that there's a folder inside of it as well. And so, and then it looks for the files inside it, which we have one file in there. So I can just go ahead and click on that and we are good. So at this point, if I save it and I go out and I refresh, I get all my styling back. The nice part about this now is if in multiple pages, if I want to change the background color, I change it in one place and it updates everywhere. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go out to our folder again. And just a little thing in brackets, if you right click on a file and you say show and explore, it will open it up right where it's located at, which is in our step 4 folder, of course. So what we want to do at this point is highlight our index.html page and copy it by hitting Control C, Command C if you're on a Mac, or right click on it and copy it. The next thing we want to do is just paste about 20, I believe it's about 20 copies in there. And you can see them all listing up over here as well in brackets. So we'll come over here to brackets. And the easiest way to go about this is to go ahead and open up your index.html file. And we'll just start coming down through and we'll highlight the name of the HTML document we want to work in. And if you click on it and then click on it again, not double click, what it does is it allows you to rename the file. And while we're renaming the file, we're going to get this little kind of algorithm going for ourselves. Because what we want to do is in this H1 as well, we want to go ahead and put that name in there. And we also want to come up here and put the name in our title as well. So that page is done. We'll save it and we can close it and go right back to our index. The way that I closed it is I held Control W and it closed that file and let me come back to index. I'm going to rename this one things. I'm going to go in and I'm going to kind of keep my little algorithm going here. Hit save, which is Control S, Control W. I'm right back there. I'm going to go to music. Thank God this is not common for web design. It is because we are learning and we're just doing what we need to do at this point. So renamed, we're good, save, Control S, Control W, movies. And so now I'm going to start moving a little bit faster. I will do it all on the video, but you can pause or fast forward if you would like to. But if you notice, I'm just kind of going down through, and the more I talk, the slower I go. So Control S, Control W, books. Control V. Books. Control S, Control W. I'm back at there. Websites. You want to make sure that, each time you do that, that it names it correctly and that you're going to the right place. So as tempted as you are to move quickly, you might want to take your time on this so you don't have to go back. It takes a lot longer to figure out where you did something wrong than it does to just Take it slow, do it right, get it done. Family. Family, come out here, dash family, and then what I'll do, just actually I don't know if it'll make it faster or not with that kind of copying, is I just copied the dash spaces. Family, friends, I think I'm just gonna key in the spaces and dashes. Seems like it takes longer the other way. Others. I'm just going through and renaming my pages. I'm just grabbing the links right out of the menu. That way I know the spelling is correct, I know everything is correct. It's a lot safer when you're using data that needs to line up with each other to copy and paste wherever you can, wherever it makes sense. Like in this one, that's a single click. That's a single mouse key. I'm much better off just not even copying and pasting. Although it would be great if I could get it right. Threw me off. When you start on an algorithm, you start doing things a certain way. At times it can actually work against you to change it up, even if it seems a little faster. We want to get rid of the underscore by just highlighting it and putting a space in there. And then we'll do it here again, and just put a space in there. Save window, am now. Same thing, get rid of that underscore. Come down here. Save, close window, will be. Oops. Got ahead of myself. Take care of that space. Oops. Space, dash, space. Get rid of the underscore. Control save, Control S, Control W to close the window. Challenges. Come over here. Challenges. Under our H1, our heading, challenges, save window, behind me. And of course we'll leave the underscore in the link because we don't want spaces in our links. Ahead of me. Got 2 underscores in here. So we want to make sure that we did that right. Underscore, underscore. Close the window. And we did ahead of me. Now we're going to go down to you. Take our copy, you, save window, profile, and settings are left. Looks like we need one more page. We didn't copy quite enough. So finish this one out. Profile. We'll save it, we'll close it, and then we'll go back out to our step 4 folder, which if you hold Alt-Tab, that lets you move around and get into things. And what we want is our index. We're going to copy it and then paste. And we'll come back over here and copy settings, take our copy, put settings, come over here, paste in the settings, on our title, paste in the settings, save, and window. And now we should be able to Alt-Tab and go to our browser window. And at this point, we actually should just be able to click and see things. So we'll start at the top. Love, make sure that's love, make sure that's love. Things, music, movies, books, websites, people, family, friends, others, who, I, was then, am now, will be, challenges, behind me, ahead of me, you, profile, settings. And if you notice, we went through all these pages and all the styling stayed the same, and that is because every one of these pages we copied from this one and we're linked to that style sheet. And just to demonstrate, if I come in here and I say make the background color red, and I save it, and I come out here and I refresh, we can see the background color consistently stays red on all the pages. So let's go ahead and hit Control Z and put that back to our hex value of DDD. Save that. Go make sure that those changes stuck. We're back to where we were. Everything looks good. And now we're actually ready to go start pushing our files to our server. So let's go ahead out to our Eggers hosting. And by the way, make sure that you save that change and close the windows. That way you can be sure that everything is saved. So now we're going to go out to our Eggers hosting, to our control panel. And we're going to go to our files and file manager. And we're going to go to our inside out project. And in there we should actually have step 3 not in a folder. It should just be sitting there. And so the first thing we want to do is go ahead and take care of that. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to call it step 3. And it's already aligned. We're already in this folder, so that's where it will create it. So we'll hit create, and it created our empty step 3 folder. Now what we can do is we can actually just take this and drag it inside of our step 3 folder. The way that we validate that and make sure that it's all good is we come out and we take a look. This was working before we moved it, and now it should be gone. And the way that we should be able to see it is just by putting the folder in there. Make sure that your folder is named step-003, all lowercase, and we can actually see that we're good there. So the next thing that we want to do is go ahead and go over, let's close our step 3 folder, and let's make a new folder, and let's call that folder step 4. I know, surprise, absolute craziness. And let's create it. Now what we want to do is upload our work from our step 4 folder to this folder. And the way that we're going to do that is let's double click on our step 4 folder and make sure that we're inside of our step 4 folder. And we're going to use the upload new file. For me, I'll go out to desktop, and then in my inside out -html, and I will grab all of these files. If you notice, I'm not grabbing the assets folder. This interface does not do a good job with creating folders, so we'll just go ahead and grab all these files, and then we'll come back for that. We'll click open, and we can see that it lists all the files, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to say upload. And at this point, inside the step 4 folder, it has put all of our pages up, uploaded all of our pages, and now we want to go get that style sheet. And so for the sake of saving ourselves headache and browser types and things like that, we're just going to go ahead and say new folder, call it assets, and create it. And there it is. And then we're going to go inside that folder, the assets folder we just created, and we're going to create another new folder, and we're going to call it CSS. And there it is. And then we're going to actually go inside that CSS folder and come up here and click upload new file and go in assets, CSS, and our HTML on our local. And we're going to grab that style.css and we're going to upload it. So now it's uploaded inside our CSS folder, which if I click up, we can see that. And our CSS folder is inside our assets folder, which is inside the root of our HTML site. I mean the step 4 folder. Now we can actually go out and validate our work. The way we do that is, first of all, if we come here, all we have to do is change that 3 to a 4 in our path from our server, and we can actually see that we're in here now. And if we go ahead and click around, we can traverse our site, we can navigate our site, and what we want to do is, of course, go through and check and make sure that every one of our links work. We call this validating. Validating your site. Often, usually we do this during a build, and we just call it, did you validate the build? We don't want to forget about our footer, make sure that our footer looks like it's supposed to. And we'll take care of getting back to home page in another lesson. But for this lesson, at this point, you have completed step 4, and we have a full, maybe not the prettiest site, not the greatest site, but we have a full site now, and we can actually start doing some pretty cool things with our site at this point. So before we wrap things up completely, let's do a quick review of what we did. We'll work from the beginning to the end. Let's go that way. We came in. We had an index page in here, and we created a step 3 folder, and we moved that index file into it. Then we copied this, and we ended up with we renamed the copy of the folder with the index file, we renamed to step 4. Inside step 4, before we made a copy of the index file and renamed all of these files, what we did do is we made sure that we came in and created our assets, our CSS folder, and then our CSS style sheet. And then we linked it into our index.html page. After that, we actually went out and started to make copies of that page, and we renamed each one of these pages. And when renaming each one of these pages, we made sure that we renamed in the title and in the H1 as well. For example, we added love to the title, the page title, and then we also added love to the H1, which represented the page. Following that, we went ahead and went out to our server, where we did the same steps with the folders. We created the step 3, and then we drag and dropped the index.html into the step 3, went out and validated our work, and then we created the step 4 folder, and we uploaded all of our files. Because this interface can be funny on certain browsers, and rather than taking a chance of having issues, especially segmented issues, we went ahead and we went inside our step 4 folder and we created the assets folder. Um, After we created the assets folder, we went ahead and we went inside of the assets folder. We went inside the assets folder and we created the CSS folder. And then once that was created, we went into that and we uploaded the style CSS. We followed that up by just going out to our site and validating our work and making sure that everything was working correctly, that our navigation was actually taking us to the pages that we created. In the next lesson, we'll start to use some CSS and we'll start to make some magic happen to these pages.